Hello and welcome to the Boys Upstairs Show. This is the Week 1 NFL show. Welcome back, everybody. It's good to be back for season 4 of the Boys Upstairs NFL show. We've got a great group here. Nixon, Sam, Cam, Martin, Kobe, and Ahmed. This is probably going to be Ahmed's one and only show of the season, so take him while you got him.
Cherish the moment.
Soak him in. All right, so game 1 on the slate. Football is back. Real football is here. We can talk about spreads and who we think is going to win games. We have the Rams going to Detroit. Lions are favored -3.5. Total's 51.5. We will give it to Samuel.
All right. I just want to preface everything, just saying it's great to be back for another season. I think this is what my fourth year being here.
I think it's your fourth. You were on season
Yeah, it might
one.
be my fourth, like third and a half, we'll say, but always exciting. Week one's always my favorite time of the year for the show. It's you're back at it, you're back in the grind every week. You feel like you're in the league. It's awesome. Off season's fun doing the shows and everything, but there's nothing like getting on every week, giving some picks and watching real football games. So let's dive into it. Just thankful to be back with the fellas here. Rams Lions. I am a known Detroit Lions hater. Everyone knows that. Anyone who's ever watched knows that. And should come as no shock to you, any of you, that I am taking the Rams +3.5 here. You can't really go too deep into rosters, what kind of additions, who made, and so, and the offseason for a week one matchup. Everyone knows week one's always a crapshoot. And a 3.5 spread. I've said it every time I've been on the show, 3.5 is my least favorite spread. Lions had a great year last year. Lions had a decent year the year before. They're on the come up. Everyone thinks they're contenders now. Everyone thinks they're real Super Bowl favorites. Those kinds of teams tend to have some kind of a surprise early in the season. And I haven't looked at many of the public handles or whatever, but I would think a lot of people are heavy on the Lions on this game. Matt Stafford's getting old. People aren't as high on Puka Nakua's heroics or coming into the second season of his career. And I am pretty high on Kyron Williams, drafted him a couple leagues, but good roster there. Lions obviously have a solid team, very good team, I would probably say, roster-wise. But I think it's going to be a close one, and I honestly think the Rams come out on top in this one. It's one of those week one, sometimes shit happens. And they're going into Detroit. It's enemy territory, tough place to play in Ford Field. But yeah, I think the Rams are going to come away with this one. You've got that Goff Stafford matchup, whatever in the trade. This is another cookie cutter type. You think, oh, these are two like pretty solid offenses. They're going to come in and they're going to start slugging the ball around. It's also a playoff rematch from last year, which was a very good playoff game. And Rams almost beat them. Probably should have beaten them without a couple calls, drop passes, whatnot. 50.5 is a big total, especially for week one. And I feel like those big scoring shootout games you see in week one aren't with good playoff teams necessarily. I could be wrong data wise. It's just kind of the eye test of what I see. So yeah, I'm here Rams +3.5, under 50.5. I'm actually pretty confident in that. And that's why I volunteered to go first for this one, but take it away.
This spread here is 3.5. Detroit's one of the best home teams in the league. And if this game was on a neutral field, this spread is basically saying it would be a push. I think that that's pretty disrespectful to the Detroit Lions and what MCDC has built. There's also obviously the factor of Detroit blowing a lead in the playoffs last year, and they've had to sit with that all offseason. And anytime that Jared Goff can go against the Rams and prove them wrong for giving up on him, I think he's going to do everything he possibly can to do so. So I'm going to take the Detroit Lions -3.5.
I don't see a world where the Rams win this game. Lions are the better team. And I just think that losing Aaron Donald, losing a few linebackers, they just don't have the power to stop any aspect of the Lions offense. The Lions are going to score a lot of points. Lions -3.5. I think this is honestly a safe bet. It's disrespectful spread for the Lions.
Happy to be back for another season of The Boys Upstairs, as Sam said. I'll spare you the details, but this is a wonderful thing that we got going on here, and what a better way to start than Rams Lions. The Goff Stafford trade rematch. It's always going to be a blockbuster game, so we're kind of blessed on a Sunday night to just roll off into the weekend and watch this game. beyond that, the Lions do have a sour taste in their mouth. Sure, they got the win over them in the playoffs, but they weren't able to make it all the way. I think they cover 3.5. I think David Montgomery is my other bet. I'm not touching the total here. I don't really like it, but I'm taking David Montgomery 2+ tutties, which is plus 475 last time I checked. I just like that's crazy odd. A bit you just said we can only do plus. You can only do prop bets if they're plus money, right?
Yep.
So I think for a guy like him, if they're within the 10-yard line, I know everyone's super high on Gibbs. He's like 98% back from a hamstring injury. I don't know how you can be 98% back from anything, but I like Montgomery 2+ tutties and give me the Lions to cover.
It's good to be back after a year. I haven't been on.
I was gonna say you were never here.
Yeah, what are you
all
back from?
off-season. But it's good to be back after a full year. So when I make these picks and they all hit, I want to start off on a good start. So I'm going to go ahead and pick the Lions. I think Sam's pick is based off his hatred towards the Lions. I don't think he can fully see.
Here we go again. Here we go
I think
again.
he can't really see fully clearly through his hatred and his bias. Rams have lost Aaron Donald. Their guys are getting old. Matthew Stafford's getting old. Cooper Kupp's getting old. He didn't have a really productive season last year. Rams O-line, horrible. And you're going against Lions defense that keeps on getting better and better. So I think this minus 3.5, even though a 3.5 is one of the worst bets that you can take, I think they could smoke them by probably 2 touchdowns.
I think the Rams offense is explosive enough to where it's one of those teams where it's like, okay, think about it. It's week 1. You know, you don't, like Tommy was saying, you don't really have everything installed defensively. And then you go up in your matchup week 1 is Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and Puka Nacua. Like, even for a team like the Lions. So I think
people are sleeping on Cooper Kupp this year too.
Yeah, I think the Rams covered 3.5. I don't know if they win, but I think it's going to be, kind of a revenge game for Stafford, considering he just lost his last game there. Like how the Ravens are with the Chiefs, where it's like they just lost their last game to the same team. So I think they cover, and I think the over hits as well. I think that both of the teams will score a lot. The Rams defense is good, but it's young.
Agreed. Agree with you.
What a handsome gentleman.
Wow. Thank you, guys.
Both these defenses, the Rams defense, besides losing Aaron Donald, you could say got better all around. And the Lions defense, you could say got better, but they're both really young. They're both still not great, and they both really haven't meshed. The Lions drafted Terrion Arnold. The Rams drafted Jared Verse. They might get better, but not week 1. I think it's going to take a second for the young defenses to get a feel for it. So I'm taking the over. These are 2 insane offenses. Obviously the Rams, they just paid Goff. They got the running back duo. That's great. Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, and then the Rams, we already talked about their weapons. So I think this over is easy. Both those teams can score. And both the defenses are young, so I think that that's definitely hitting the over. The spread was really tough for me. I felt like this was going to be a field goal game, but I am going to take the Lions. I can't bet against the Lions week 1. They just get better and better every year, and I do think they're going to go to at least the NFC Championship this year. Or maybe the second round of the playoffs. But either way, I think they're going to do really well, and I think that they win this game. They start out the year on a high note. I'm sure Campbell is preaching them how important starting the season off hot is. And the Rams, their offense is older while their defense got younger. And you never really know with Stafford recently, his arm, how much he's going to play, and how healthy he really is coming into the season. He seems never to be healthy anymore. So I think that the Lions are probably trying to start a season off on a high note, and I think that the Lions are going to cover.
Game 2 on the slate, Monday Night Football. The much anticipated, really actual debut of Aaron Rodgers in a Jets uniform, except for the 4 plays last season. Jets are going to San Francisco. San Francisco's favored by 3.5, 4.5 in some books, but we're going to keep it at 3.5 for our sake. Total is 43.5. We will give it to Martin.
This spread was not difficult to take. As soon as I saw that it widened to 4.5, I'm like, Tommy, we should just update this, and I don't think it's going to change my pick nor the public's pick. Clearly, the money's going that way. Niners cover this spread, 3.5, 4.5, 6 foot, whatever you want to call it. They're covering the spread. Look, I just as much as anybody am patiently awaiting the debut of Aaron Rodgers in the green and white uniforms. That being said, they're not going to stop the 49ers. Like they made it to the Super Bowl last year and so many times in the past, 4 or 5 seasons just because they have so many freaking weapons. And I mean, look, Bosa's not going to be sacking a black quarterback, but he's still going to probably have a sack and a half or at least 2. Like this guy is just the motor on him, Fred Warner. They just have way too many weapons for the Jets to stop. Now, look, like who am I to say the Jets had one of the best defenses? They allowed probably, I think, the second or third least passing yards, whereas the Niners are better rush defense. So if they're trying to run their offense through Breece Hall, their front seven is pretty much going to handle that, and their secondary is nothing to be played with either. I just think that the Niners have way too many weapons as to when it comes to compete with the Jets, or when the Jets try to compete with them. So I'll take that, and then I'll take the under as well. I think this game will get not ugly, but it just won't be as magnificent of a debut for Aaron Rodgers as people are expecting. Niners probably win this like 22-23 to like 13.
Can I follow there, because I completely agree with Martin.
Good.
That's
good piggyback.
Yeah, well, we're gonna piggyback here. We're gonna bring back the piggyback term.
Please
That was
piggyback.
honestly a great analysis, Martin, because I agree with pretty much everything you said, and I'm also going with the 49ers minus 3.5. Not really gonna touch the total here. Didn't like the 43.5, whatever. Don't know if it can go over. Might see a random shootout or whatever. But the thing about the Jets is everyone's putting so much stock into them as being some kind of contender immediately, from being a shitty team and just adding a 40-year-old quarterback who's had success. And all of a sudden that's supposed to put them over the edge and make them good. I really, and yes, 2 games here I have a vested interest against. I don't like the Lions because they're rivals of my Bears. I don't like Aaron Rodgers because he's tortured me for years. But at the same time, when are we going to give up on the jig of that the Jets just aren't good? And I could be proven wrong this season, but at the same time, last year, and obviously Aaron Rodgers played 2.5 minutes of football last season, before he went on this whole media tour that he's going to come back miraculously. Never did. Sorry, I had to add that in there. But the Niners are a proven good team. They've been a good team. They've been a juggernaut for years now. Besides being just beaten by the Chiefs a couple times in the Super Bowl, and they are a proven good team. They're still a good team, and they probably will be a good team this year. The Jets haven't proven shit. And they haven't really changed their roster that much. They didn't add that much. Yeah, they've got Garrett Wilson. They've got Breece Hall, yada, yada. But just inserting Aaron Rodgers into this team and just saying that's supposed to make them good is silly, in my opinion. And they had that whole Hassan Reddick contract thing, so they didn't really improve on defense either, even though their defense wasn't half bad to begin with. But I think the Niners win this game pretty easily. And like I said, like I said before, it's week 1, so you never really know what happens. So I'll just leave my pick at that. I just kind of wanted to add in that this whole hype around the Jets, I feel like it's like a Disney movie. It doesn't really exist, and people are trying to manifest it into happening. It's not real. Yes, you got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is our parents' age now, and the dude's old. The dude his prime is behind him. And so for him to just come into another team and take a shitty football team and make them contenders, I don't buy it. So yeah, we're going Niners minus 3.5 here.
The problem with the Disney movie comp is that like last year was the Disney movie. This is just like the shitty sequel.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you had everyone sold last year, and now
they had the TV show, they had everything.
Yeah, now they're trying to keep it going, being like, oh, Rodgers here. No one fucking cares anymore. No one cares. The Jets are bad, and they will be bad until they prove us otherwise.
Completely disagree with what Sam just said. Not necessarily that the Jets are going to be like a Super Bowl contender per se, but I think that they will be a good football team. And also, it's week 1. So if the Jets win this game, that doesn't mean that everything that Sam just said is necessarily wrong. And it doesn't mean that the 49ers, if they win, are going to be in the Super Bowl again. I do think that the 49ers are going to lose this game and not cover, just because I think that the fact that Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk haven't been in the building till this week, I think that's going to hurt them from a continuity perspective on offense. Like, you can't I know that they've been on the team for years, but you can't just show up 2 days before week 1 and expect things to just click like that. Like, I think that, miscues as far as timing on routes and stuff like that. And Trent Williams hasn't been in football shape because he's been on the golf course. I understand that, if you just plug and place a quarterback on a team, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have success. And he is old, but the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were a shitty team for the majority of our lifetimes. And then guess what? They got Tom Brady, who was old, and they won the Super Bowl. So I don't think that it's impossible for that to happen. I do think that the Jets have a great defense. They have great skill position players. I think that they're going to win this game. Week 1, crazy shit happens, and teams that are supposed to win lose. So you have to kind of take week 1 with a grain of salt in terms of like not every single team that's better than the other team is going to win and cover. So I'll take the Jets plus 3.5.
Don't try and rush through a Tom Brady comparison like that ever again. Like you just try to sneak that in there, like, and we didn't hear you.
Yeah, there's
That was-
7 minus 1 equals 6, Tommy.
Yeah.
The two quarterbacks who are old and are two of the best quarterbacks of our lifetime who have gone to a team at the very end of their career are Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers didn't play last season. So the whole like last year was the Disney movie
Aaron
thing.
Rodgers has 1 Super Bowl in 20 years.
I think the easiest comp to this would be Brett Favre, because he literally did this with the Jets, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, it could go
Did
that
do it
way.
with the Jets.
It could
You
go-
are right,
it
yeah.
could go
Yeah.
one of 2 ways. We don't know which way it's going to go, but I think that the team around him is really good, and he is like it could be a Peyton Manning in Denver situation, which is also a quarterback that went to another team late in their career. So he doesn't
We'll
necessarily have to be like insane. He just has to facilitate, and they have a great team around him. So also, I'm just gonna throw this in because I had this in my notes. Aaron Rodgers hasn't had a 300-yard game in over 1,000 days. I think that he's going to go over his total of 237.5, which is plus money, plus 100. So I'm going to throw that on my card as well.
I honestly don't even know what to say about this game. It's scary because the spread is getting bigger and bigger, and you know what that means for Vegas. They just want you to take the 49ers just so
Thank you.
Aaron Rodgers
Exactly.
can come out and put on a mid performance and save the Jets' career. But I don't know what to do this game. I hate Aaron Rodgers. I think a damn near 40-year-old coming off a torn Achilles and expecting him to come and beat the best team, one of the best teams in the league, that's a tough task. That's a tough task to ask. That's a lot to ask of a man that is damn near 40. So common sense to take the 49ers in this spread, but there's a chance to just win this game. I can see a world where Aaron Rodgers throws probably around 200 and they pull out a little close, little 2-point, 1-point victory type shit. But you just don't know. So 49ers spread. I'm taking 49ers spread.
I went with the Niners on the spread. Although I do give respect to the Jets defensively. I don't know what the offense is going to look like. Nobody knows what the offense is going to look like because we haven't watched Aaron Rodgers play football in like 3 fucking years. So it's like, you know, it could be one way, it could be the other way. Like we have no clue. But I do respect the fuck out of the Jets defense. I think that Sauce is probably a top 3 corner in the league. Their linebacker core is still like one of the best in the leagues. And I know they didn't end up getting Hassan Reddick, but you know, their front 7 is good enough. Their linebacker core is elite. And you know, their secondary, they have one of the best core. Like they have a really good defense. But the Niners are going to cover the spread here. I think 3.5 or 4.5. I'm of the thinking that the Jets offense isn't going to look that good because I think that Aaron Rodgers hasn't played a real NFL football game in so long that he's probably not going to play that good his first game.
So I agree with what Nixon and Cam were saying in that we don't know. The Jets are the biggest question mark to me of this season in the NFL. We haven't seen Aaron Rodgers in about 2 years, and in the last season that we saw Aaron Rodgers was possibly the worst one of his career. But then again, he did have the worst receiving core of his career, and he seemed mentally checked out from that team. But he did have the worst season he's ever had. He didn't even make the playoffs. So you don't know what the Jets offense is going to look like. And it's proven that their defense alone can only get them so far. Like, yes, they have a top 5 defense, but it proves that they can only get them so many wins. So Aaron Rodgers does have to perform. It doesn't have to be Aaron Rodgers level, but he does have to perform in order for them to win. So we don't know what it's going to look like. And what's not a question mark is the 49ers. The 49ers have been probably the best team in the NFC for the last 2, 3, 4 years. And you know what you're going to get out of them. So I'm taking the 49ers to cover the spread. We know what they are. They don't really need that time to mesh like Aaron Rodgers does with all his receivers. They just added Mike Williams. That's another unhealthy piece that has to fit in somewhere. I think the Jets possibly could be good, but I don't think it's going to be week 1, and I don't think it's going to fully mesh for a little bit. And for them to beat the 49ers, who have been a top team in the NFC, a lot has to go right for them, and I don't think enough is going to go right. But I do think they might be good this year. I am taking them to cover. However, I am taking the over. I do believe with that many weapons on the Jets, it will click. We've seen Breece Hall in the offense for not the longest, but when we do see him, he's an absolute weapon. Garrett Wilson has shown that he can do something without Aaron Rodgers, so I'm sure he's still going to put up numbers. And I do think that both teams will score some points. We saw in the playoffs in the Super Bowl, the 49ers defense start to get exposed. We've seen teams kind of start to figure them out. And the 49ers just have too many weapons to not score. And the Jets have too many weapons. So I'm taking the 49ers to cover, and I'm taking the over.
I think this whole game, I think the spread is a trap. The 49ers coming back from a Super Bowl loss, guarantee you they're pissed off. Somebody can make an argument that they're pissed off, but then at the same time, somebody can also make an argument that there was so much drama in the offseason with Ayuk, with Trent Williams. You just don't know. You really don't know. Their defense is amazing. The Jets defense is amazing. I was watching the Commanders camp against the Jets, and the Jets looked like a really good team. And I don't even think Aaron Rodgers was playing. So I'm not going to touch the spread here, but I'm going to go ahead and take the under. First, I'm going to say it again. First week, I think teams are going to adjust. And I think adding on to Tommy's saying that two out of three of their best players haven't been suited up, causing drama. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to go ahead and take the under. I think that's the best bet.
It's time for the best part of the show. First locks of the week of the 2024 NFL season 4 of the Boys Upstairs show. We're going to go ahead and throw it to Nixon.
Let's do it, guys. The best part of the show. This is what we're all here for. This is for the fans. So I'm going to start off the season with week 1. Martin, close your ears, brother. Close your ears, because I'm going to take the Texans -3 against the Colts. They're just going to be the best offense in the league. That's my prediction. They're going to be the most explosive offense in the league. I think CJ is going to have a great year with all those new toys he got to play with. Pause.
Wow.
He's gonna. But no, the Colts might get mollywopped. I'm not gonna lie, on their home field.
Can I give my lock?
No.
Commanders
Go ahead.
plus. I think it's 3.5 right now against the Bucks. I've never been a fan of Baker Mayfield. I think he had a great season. Don't think he's gonna have a great season this year. We've got JD. Commanders are a whole different team. Defense got better. Secondary, I pray for that secondary, honestly. But our linebacker core got better. O-line got better. Overall, new ownership, new head coach. I love Dan Quinn. I think it's going to be they're going to come out to make a point, and I like the Commanders.
When I saw the board this week, obviously it's week 1. There's a lot of question marks, just a lot of movement in terms of players going to different teams and new coaches and everything like that. We don't know what to expect necessarily from a lot of these spreads. And there's a lot of small spreads, 3.5, a lot of 3.5s on the board this week. This was definitely the one that stood out to me. And it's probably the pick that I've taken the most times out of the 4 years of doing the Boys Upstairs show. We've got 2 teams in this game with new starting quarterbacks. We've got 2 teams in this game with new offensive coordinators. And 3 of the last 4 times that these teams have played, the total has gone under, including in 2022, most recently with a 16-19 game. Based off of what I just said, I'm pretty sure you can assume that it's the Steelers versus the Falcons. And I'm going to be taking the under 42.5 because this game will probably be in the 16-19 range once again. I think that the Steelers are going to be decent this year. I'm hopeful. But I do expect our offense to not be great. And especially week 1. I like Artie Smith. I think we're going to run the fuck out of Najee and Jalen Warren. And I expect low totals all year. And I also think that the Falcons are going to be, not necessarily firing on all cylinders week 1 just because it's Kirk's first game. He's also old, coming off an Achilles tear. And they've got, continuity that they've got to build over time. So I think it's going to be under 42.5 between the Steelers and the Falcons.
I'm disappointed Omad went first, or Mo went first, because he had the same lock as I did. And
Sam, you calling Ahmed Omad is up there with people calling Kamala. Just so you
Yeah,
So,
no. All right, you're Mo. All right.
I appreciate you picking my pick, by the way.
Yeah, no. So I had it set earlier, so I am gonna go with the Commanders plus 3.5. Or they're plus 3.5, yeah.
Yes,
So,
sir.
first year quarterback, new head coach, Dan Quinn, proven head coach who went to the Super Bowl before. And I'm not gonna sit here and say the Commanders are good, and I agree with Mo and him saying that it's become kind of a retirement home. But as I've been saying this entire show so far, week 1's always a crapshoot. And the Commanders, while they have not been good the past couple of years, not had really good teams or whatever, I don't think the Bucks have necessarily a great team either. And Is it in Tampa or in DC?
It's in Tampa. It's away.
It's in Tampa. Even still, I could see a close one here ending in a field goal. I could also see the Commanders coming away with a win because there is nothing that says Washington Commanders more than them getting a week 1 win in a season like this and being like, we're back, we're so back, we're a good team, we're gonna win 8 games or whatever. This is not true. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think Commanders fans think that's gonna happen. But I would not be surprised at all to see them come away with a win here. I don't think Tampa is necessarily much better than they are, despite making the playoffs last year. I think that was a little bit of Baker magic and so, the Tom Brady hangover. But yeah, I just got a gut feeling here that the Commanders are gonna cover this game, lose by a field goal, or they're gonna win it. I think they're probably gonna win it.
I don't love that we've got 2 people on the Commanders here, just from the perspective of like, how have the Bucks changed last year from going to the second round of the playoffs? Like they still have the exact same team.
It
And
was luck. I mean,
Tommy,
they
it's the NFL, man. It's the
the
national.
NFL.
like,
They were on a
I
hot streak.
honestly, I hear what Sam's saying in terms of like, it would be very Commanders for them to win this game. And also like, I think that Jaden Daniels is going to be good. And when RG,
Yeah, I didn't even touch on Jaden Daniels. I think he's got. I wouldn't necessarily say this like got what it takes right now, but I mean he seems like a solid quarterback. Got an arm on him, and he can run the hell out of the ball. And
RG3's first game they won, he played really well. So I think
they've got some versatility on offense. Who knows? Their defense might show up. They lost Montez Sweat to my boys, but hey, we shall see.
Got the lock of the century here. If this one misses, I will be the Florida State fan. I will eat poop out of a cup if this lock misses.
We're holding you to it. We're holding you to that.
that's a clip.
Probably clip that right now. Yeah.
That being said,
Okay, let's see.
the Giants and the Vikings are playing this week, and the over-under is 41. If any of these teams put up a combined 41 points, I don't know what's going on in the league. There's no way that this game touches 40. There's no way these teams put up 40. Daniel Jones will probably put up 40 himself just from interceptions, and they will all be pick sixes on the goal line. So 41 and a half. That's my lock. That's my lock of the day. 41 and a half. Simple, easy.
Under?
Game.
Yeah, that was confusing, to be honest. You said that they're going to get 40 and a half just off pick sixes, but you're taking the under?
That's the only way that they get 40 and a half. Is
okay.
if they throw pick sixes all the way up to 40. That's the only way this
Are
game.
you going to eat your own poop out of a cup or somebody else's poop?
Whose poop are we eating?
Whoever poop you want it to be, Martin.
Let me step in here. I was thoroughly perplexed when I looked at the board this week and when I was looking for a lock because this didn't make any sense to me. The Cowboys are you get points for the Cowboys to go into the dog pound against Cleveland. We have about probably 6 games left of the Deshaun Watson experience in Cleveland. If I were an investor in Cleveland area massage parlors, I would probably sell all my holdings because it's not going to last. Look, this guy, they brought him in. The expectations were higher than high. And unfortunately, we're going to see by week 6 that this guy, he just can't get it done anymore, right? He can't get it up. We have an opportunity here to take the Cowboys, who are arguably, whatever you want to say about Dak, whatever you want to say about their playoff woes, one of the best teams in the NFL last year, if not like top 5. Going into Cleveland against a, pretty solid defense, but an offense that doesn't have a starting running back right now, unless you count Jerome Ford. I guess you can say they got better at receiver because they signed Jared Judy, but they have an aging and crippled Amari Cooper. David Njoku had an okay year last year, pretty good for his standards. The Cowboys, Dak's going to probably throw for 5,000 yards this year. They didn't address the running back position, and I don't care what you say about Zeke trying to have a comeback year. It's not going to happen, all right? Dak's going to probably throw for 5K. Doesn't mean I'm bullish on the Cowboys, but the fact that you're getting points to pick the Cowboys, you're not going to see that every single week. And Cleveland is not the same dog pound as it once was. I think they probably come in last in their division. I know we have a lot of Steelers and Ravens fans in the chat that appreciate that. But give me Cowboys plus 2.5 all day.
I was very, very close to starting season 4 of the Boys Upstairs show by taking the Cowboys, but I think it might be a trap. And I think
You
that
can't, dude. Week 1 cannot be a trap week. You can't be ever because, like you said,
There's no traps
nobody
in week
knows.
1. There's
There's
no
no
traps.
traps. There's no traps. Like
I think that
if the Jets beat the Niners, you can't say to the Niners that like it was a trap game for them. Like no, it was week 1. Like dude, everyone gets off the bus at the same time and they figure it out. I really wish Scott was on the show so he could have watched me make this pick. But he'll wake up in the morning hopefully be jovial.
So I got my lock. It's gonna sound maybe a little crazy, but let me break it down for you. Bills, Cardinals, Hard Rock has it at 48. We've seen what Kyler Murray can do. You can't say he hasn't been a really good electric quarterback, barring leadership skills, whatever you want to say about him. He's been electric when he is playing. Full offseason recovery after playing the end of last year. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is going to have a Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, maybe 1,000-yard receiver their first year, come up, light it up. He's like, to me, like them. Like he's been a professional since he was 18, 19. He just had to wait for the 3 years so he could get drafted. The Arizona with a full offseason Kyler Murray has a chance to light that up. And the Bills, obviously they lost Stephon Diggs, but they got Coleman, who I think is going to be good. They have Shakir. They have Curtis Samuel, who's a pretty good slot receiver. This is one of the games where Josh Allen can make something happen. He was voted the most overrated player of the season. He's coming in with a chip on his shoulder. He sees the Cardinals week 1, no defense. He definitely is licking his chops right now. And I think he has enough weapons to make it happen. He might not have a number 1 guy, but he's got depth. Everyone who steps on the field could possibly be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. And you still don't know how good Keon Coleman's going to be. And I think that for both of them to score 24 in week 1, where we know nobody plays defense, as everybody has said, there's no way both these teams don't put up 24 points. So I think Cardinals Bills over 28 is the lock of week 1.
great show. Shout out everybody for watching. We will be doing this for the next 21, 22 weeks straight.
Football is back, baby.
Football is back. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, boys. Let's go. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your sister, tell your cousin.
Tell your girlfriend's boyfriend.
Yep.